Good evening, class. This is Professor Puente, and I'm here with Serena, one of your classmates. How you doing, Serena?
I'm good.
Thank you for volunteering. Again, Serena has volunteered for her quiz grade, and it has been easy to get 2 volunteers. And hopefully this is a good experience for you guys. Let me tell you, in the future, you'll see interviews this way. Most interviews are going to happen through Skype. They don't fly people out anymore in business, only because it's cost effective, right? But what do you do, Serena?
Like for a living?
Yeah.
I work as an administrative assistant at my church.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. So you see a lot of administration decisions on the church's part, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, good.
Especially during Harvey. That was
Wow.
crazy.
What is your church, man? We can give them a shout out.
First Assembly of God in Humble.
First Assembly God. Oh, wow. You probably saw quite a bit, especially in Humble, and a lot of people have lost their homes. Well, thank you for your service and what you've done. I know that doesn't go unsaid. I wish they gave volunteer shirts to those who definitely have put in their time, because that's something I would definitely cherish for you guys. But again, the decisions you had to make for these times, I bet we can cover them in our book. And I do want to go a few things, class. These right here are your classmates. They're all here with us. They're all doing the part of their discussion through WhatsApp in our video. So they're essentially part of the live class, and they're going to give their responses to some of the talks that we're going to have as we go along. And they're going to be rated by Serena. And Serena's going to give us they're going to give me 1 through 10. And I'm going to put my input in the grade and give it a final grade for the discussion. Some people were asking me about grades, Serena. And I got to tell you, grades come up 3 times a semester. I usually grade right before midterm, so people know where they stand. Then they take the midterm. And then I of course, give the midterm grade out right after, that week after. And then I grade right before the final, and then I give a final talk. Again, grades to me are not a big deal. If you have issues with grades, talk to me. There's no problem. I'm more of the 2 type of professors, guys. There's the professors that filter, and believe it or not, Serena, what that means is they think, hey, I'm here to filter people, and no one's gonna be this without making it easy. They make you a little bit of a hard effort, and I get their philosophy. I'm more the I want to teach you something. I want you to take something with this and use it, especially in business. So you make me more proud if you're a good manager, let's say, right? And so grades, we speak about grades. Of course, I don't give out grades, but we do it that way. And something else, when it comes to discussion, guys, those who are here with us, please remember, do not forget to go to D2L and state that you were part of this. So you're giving credit, and that's all you have to do. Don't forget about the quizzes. Everybody has to do the quizzes except the guest lecturers, and it's only 2. It's 1 per week, right? And that's it. Any questions, Serena, for the class?
No.
If you guys have any questions now there, please write it down, and we'll talk about it. We'll go right into Objective 9. And Objective 9 talks about gathering and analyzing data. Before you solve a business problem, gather relevant data and then analyze it to final trends, indicators, and other useful information. Successful business decisions are based on sound information. So you need information before you make a decision, okay? This is, again, goes to the entire principle of the course that gut intuition is helpful. It's just not what we're teaching, okay? What we're teaching is business systematic way of coming up with decisions. So keep one eye on your desired outcome to be sure the information you collect is helping you to reach that goal. That's definitely the short course of this objective. You have a goal, keep your eye on it, and try to see what data is getting you there. If it's not getting you there, then you got to adjust, okay? And there's definitely a lot of data that you could collect. You can collect financial data. Let's say, Serena, your church wants to make a certain amount of donations. That's financial data, right? Tasks that the church wants to do for the community, product or services, again, that they want to provide, like in this case was the flood assistance, flood victim assistance, and general advice overall. right? So the type of information are different. So details. Define your data needs. What information do you need to reach an informed decision? When you want to buy a car, Serena, what information do you need?
Um, I guess if we're talking about like on a personal level,
Sure.
I mean, I would need to know what type of car would I need. I mean, I don't need a minivan. I don't have any kids, so there's that
type of car. Okay, type of car. And what would be another thing?
I would look at the gas mileage. Does it have good gas mileage or bad?
Okay, okay. And the last one is so surprising because this will be my first.
The price, obviously.
Oh, price. That's right. That's right. And it's so funny when people look at, I guess there's certain type of personalities. I guess I always go start with price, and then I go, oh, if it's a van, but it's a type of personality. But at the end of the day, you're still getting the same data that you need, right, to make a decision. So good. So define your data needs, and your book says it twice, but I guess, different ways. Define your data needs and define your data needs. The information you gather might contradict your assumption too. Remember, you may gather some data and you're like, whoa, this is not the same. So be scientific. Do you know what the word scientific means, Serena?
I probably do. It's just not like something I can put into words right now.
It's okay. Believe it or not, it just means be measurable. Be scientific, be measurable. So something that you can measure. So you can't really say you choose a car by how you feel. That's hard because it's like, can you really measure feelings? How happy are you? Maybe 1 out of 10. That's still not systematic. But if you can measure a car by its gas mileage, then that's more scientific. Do you see what I mean? So how measurable it is. Document the data in its sources. And obviously you want to go buy a car in a very, very verifiable data website, right? And a website that you trust because you don't want the information to be wrong, right? And examine existing information first. Acquiring information costs you and others time, effort. So before you start collecting it, maybe there's other sites, or maybe someone else had already began looking for a car. So rely on people as your most important resource. Your book says that. And that's actually an opinion, believe it or not, Serena. Some people will tell you people may not be the people to trust, right? But your book says that, hey, rely on people. Much of the information you need might be available only from other people in your organization. So consider that. And consider interrelationships. Most of the data you collect is interrelated. So something you're looking for a car, I bet you is related to looking for a house too. So it's like, hey, what's the value? What's the loans you have to do? So maybe some kind of interrelationship. Right? Have you ever had to buy a car before? That's Serena?
I did, but I didn't have to do like a lot of research in that. I just got it from Ready Faster.
Gotcha. So you trust it. In this case, in the book, it says trust someone important, and you did. So you gave that trust. That person may have actually guided you and may have done some kind of decision making, right? So that's good. So maybe one day, Serena, somebody will come to you as someone they trust, and you will use our book as the basis. That'd be great. So let's see who else says anything. Dina Jones, price, what incentives the dealership is giving, how much is down payment, etc. True. Karen, the things I consider to buy in a car will be price, gas mileage, size of car. Safety features, fuel efficiency, reliability. I usually look for something I've had in the past and experience I had with it. That's good, Alma. That's actually very good. I've had a Toyota my whole life and never had issues with it, so I normally look for the brand name. Okay, that's definitely good. And the only thing I will tell you is that I actually think that assumption is not bad. Sometimes the brand of the car does help because it's definitely a dealership that makes it, that produces it. Sometimes the brand of something is not the same. Like McDonald's is not the same brand as one. It may be kind of the same product, but the way they make it, it's different franchises. So keep an eye on the information, like it's saying. Okay, so then we go to chapter 10. Think creatively. The desire to solve a problem often anchors people to their initial ideas, though this limits the possibilities they consider and detracts from the quality of the final solution. So you got to just be careful, right? Be creative. Don't just think always a systematic way, because that helps you. but you also could bring ideas into the picture of your system. Okay. Well, do you feel you're a creative person, Serena?
Yeah.
Okay. When do you feel like you're most creative?
I'm mainly creative in like artsy things. So, like I make graphics
Oh,
occasionally for my church, and
awesome. Awesome.
I'm not a pro, but it's something I like doing.
No, I definitely, and that's where your artist side comes out, and that's the left side of your brain, believe it or not. So the book doesn't just say, hey, think like a robot. It says use creativity and put it into a system. So remember that. It's good to say that because objective 10 is about alternatives, and you have to be creative to think of alternatives. So brainstorming, that's actually very important. So maybe one day in your church, you tell, maybe they already do this. Hey, we're running out of ideas. Let's do this. Let's do 5 minutes and putting ideas into a board and just throw it out there. And let's see what we get out of there. And then we start to eliminate. And look, it says whiteboard, just like it says brainstorming and whiteboard go hand in hand, I guess, right? And it tells you how to brainstorm. Your book talks about brainstorming. You know, what kind of innovative adventures can the Quest offer? So it talks about that. You can have an African island tour, or you can have an Indian region tour. And it puts all the little systematic ideas, you know, Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia. Hey, maybe this one and that one. And that's important for brainstorming. There is a system you need for brainstorming, guys. The point here is that you use some kind of way that is, again, scientific, even though it's creative. Okay. Ask others for advice. Hey, your book says it again, just like you said, your pastor, right? Do you feel like he's a good decision maker?
Are you pastor?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good at making, especially decisions that are like urgent.
Oh, good.
He's been very good at making decisions, like able to think it through and then make it happen fast, you know.
Collective wisdom. It talks about that collective wisdom. So not just from your pastor, but for the whole church. And sometimes it's good that you look for that in them because they have so many years of experience together, right? And if you see someone has gone through the exact same thing earlier, so in this case, you would say, "Hey, have you guys bought a car? How about Toyota?" And they tell you all their experience. You're collecting data. Again, your book is saying that collect the data and you develop alternatives. So the collective wisdom of people's, in fact, do you know what collective wisdom of a university is?
Of a university?
Yes.
I do not.
The professors. That's why it's called. That's why it's called. It's okay. That's why it's called the faculty. You ever heard of faculty being like the brain, like a brain, your faculties? That's why it's called the faculty, because it's the collective wisdom of the organization. But thank you, Serena, for remembering this. Develop a mind map. A mind map is simple. It's just a brainstorm connected. Okay, so you put all these things out there and then you connect them. Well, this was connected to that one, to that one. It's definitely a great way to study, guys. It's one of the best ways to study for memorization, mind mapping. And you should Google it if you want more and more. In fact, you figure 2-3 shows you how to do it, right? Put ideas and you connect them. It's kind of, have you seen CSI? Have you seen all the shows that like when you're looking for someone and they put like little yarn between the ideas? Yeah, that's mind mapping. The investigators have done it for years. We just found it. So that was objective 10, guys. Let's see what else we have. Sonia Sanchez says, brainstorming with coworkers has helped me in solving problems in my work. Okay, good. It helps me seeing solutions from many different points of views. Got it. Okay, good. Definitely good. Share knowledge and experience is huge plus in brainstorm. Brainstorming is helpful because it helps you lay out everything and clearly see ideas. And Dina says, if a pastor didn't make good decisions, I wouldn't want to be part of that church. If he can't make good decisions, I wouldn't want to give my time or money because he'd probably waste both. Yeah, that's a good idea, Dina. So see, in churches, there is customers, I guess, and then there's providers, right? So I can see why, pastors have it tough, right? So evaluating options. So we talked about alternatives, but now we're talking about options, which looks very closely related. Choose your evaluation method, which is what I've been talking about. Method. You can brainstorm, you can be creative, but give it a method. In fact, there's a method for just about everything. This is why you go to college, because you're learning methods, you're learning languages. In our sense, you're learning the method of decision making. Did you even know that's a thing, Serena? Not necessarily, huh? And you get to business, and what's your major?
Business management.
Business management. So this is the core of your career. Like, there's not much. I mean, you should remember everything you're learning, of course. But the one thing, the one value that will make it different is decision making. And when it comes to it, are you just kind of like, yeah, right? Or they're like, well, I came up with right because I created a method and I eliminated options and I asked certain collective wisdom from it, and this is my answer. Okay, so this is what it's saying. Choose the evaluation method, and look what I'm going to highlight. Is the decision small enough that you can choose intuitively? That's even a decision making process. So no, you don't have to take everything and make it into a method. It could just be small enough to make it intuitively, because that would save you. What do you think? That would save you time. That's right. That's right. So if you sit here, and I love it because when I teach this class and I ask people, hey, try to use this, try to use this. I've had students come to me and say, well, I sat down and I needed to make a decision and it took me a couple of hours, but I made it. And I was like, well, then that decision might have been inefficient, because if you're supposed to do a risk reward, right? Risk reward. So if I sit here and make a big decision, then yeah, take a couple hours to do it. Other decisions, maybe you need to find an easier way. Not always intuitively, because if you do it intuitively too much, you don't have a method. Just a few things. So select the evaluation criteria. Are the variables that drive your decisions? You know, what are the important variables? In this case, when you say car, colors is one variable. Type of cars, sedan, coupes, trucks, right? So then you're evaluating from them and then you're comparing. Weigh your criteria. This is really important. What would be more important for you, Serena? The color, the type of vehicle, or the gas mileage? Which one of those three would be your top one?
It would probably be the type of car.
The type of car. And then what would be number two? The color,
Gas.
or the gas mileage. So that means that your color is less, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's still important for insurance, but other than that.
Yeah. But you see what you did? You weighed your criteria. You weighed it, and then now you have a little more idea. And from that, you can make a little better decision. And sometimes you make a decision, and you don't realize that in your head you had done that. That you had, you had waited, and then, okay, this is why. So even understanding why your answer was the way it was is important, more than anything else. So, and rate the alternatives. So rate them. So, hey, you can't get the car you want, but maybe you have all these three options. Which one of those? Well, you had a weight criteria, remember? You said that, this was more important than that. Then you could use that to even rate the alternatives, okay? And number 5, I love this. Make a decision, guys. You have to make it. Not making a decision is a decision. It's really funny because a lot of people feel like, well, if I just table this, if I don't say it, if I don't have to do anything, it's like, okay. No, that's still a decision. At the end of the day, you're making it. And you're trying to not be perfect, like the book says. If the selected alternative is not perfect, you're just trying to be efficient, effective, as close to you as you can to being good, right? Let's see what the class says. Yes, type of car and gas mileage. The color wouldn't matter as much, but still important. That's what Andrea said. Okay, so you're seeing values. When you make these alternatives, you're absolutely seeing values. Is it the brand of car? Then finding one with very low miles, well kept in price. Okay, so I guess we shouldn't speak too much about the cars, guys. We should probably talk about the cores. And sometimes that happens, Serena. When I'm talking about a sample, we're like going a tangent. But what I'm saying is the decision to make that, and car is just so easy to talk about, right? What is a house? But I don't know. Do you own your house yet, Serena?
No, I still.
You still rent? Or you still with your parents? Okay, but you see, it's hard to talk about houses. So I go to cars. So that's what I mean. So with that said, let's see what else we have. So guys, again, talk about the method. and that's what she's going to be rating. Okay, so be careful when you do that. When you have all the data collected and weighed out all your options, then you make a decision. Yes, Andrea, you definitely said that. Now, this is what we're going to do. Remember that as we get into the semester, what I'm hoping to see from the comments is that they get a little more relevant and useful. Absolutely useful. Okay. One thing I want to show you guys, and this is important for the class, and it's important for you, is Bloom's taxonomy. Have you heard of this before? And it's okay. Most people have not. Okay. And really, this is not part of decision theory, but it really does help. Okay. What Bloom's taxonomy is stating, and this is for everybody, guys, is that, and you may not see this because it's you may have to Google it, but you'll see it in the video. It's that remembering the facts of what we're talking about is just the bottom of it. If you can understand it, then you're better than remembering. If you can apply it, which means, hey, I've used that before, then now you're going up the ladder until you get to analyze when you compare, evaluate when you take it apart, and then you create. Look at that. You take the same data we learned and you create. This is what I'm hoping with you guys out there when you give me your comments, to make sure you get to the very top, create. So try to give me some evaluations and try to give me some alternatives so that way I could see that you understand the concept. Certain variables will affect your decisions if you choose in life. And yes, Joseph, that was just part of what I just said. Try to grab what I said and create something or analyze it. A good example would be, well, in my decision making, what I had to do to weigh alternatives would have been for trips. And I had a trip to go to, and I had to weigh location. Because location's expensive, and that was way more important to me, location-wise, than weather. You see what I just did? I evaluated. I took it apart, so I brought it up on the actual pyramid. So try to do that, guys. Try to use this for you, and let's see what else we have. The very last objective, which is objective 12. Implement the solution. Get approval from the problem owner. Okay, this is important because, again, the book understands that one day you may consult, so you may be giving someone advice. So you got to be able to get an approval from the problem owner to even continue assessing or reevaluating. Remember with the blacks taking apart the issue. So in other words, don't just bring in the business if it's not asked, right? If it's none of your business, right? Develop a plan. Do you usually make a plan, Serena?
Yes.
You do? Do you ever write it down?
No, I kind of have like a visual plan in my head, unless it's like really like a very huge plan, then I have to write it down.
Then you write it down. And I'll tell you this, in business, if you want to create your own business one day, if anybody out there wants to create your own business, no one will really take you seriously unless you have a business plan. And you can look up what this is. And again, this is all decisions up front. If you ever want to get a loan, they will never give you a loan until they see your business plan. So that's why your book is saying develop a plan. You can't make decisions unless you have a plan, right? And one of the things that I realized is some people, when they say about plan, they say, well, I make a plan, but when I go through the plan, it changes. Well, when you make a flight plan, when a pilot makes a flight plan, when you're up in the air, Serena, did you know that when they change anything, they still have to make another plan? They have to say, well, we're not going to go to New York anymore, but we're going to go to Washington, D.C. And now it updates the plan. So D.C. to New York. Do you see what I mean? So if you change it, then create a whole nother plan, a whole nother branch of the plan. So notify stakeholders. So we're going to talk about a stakeholder. Okay. So am I a stakeholder of Lone Star College?
I'm trying to figure the definition of a stakeholder.
Take a guess.
I would like to think that you wouldn't be, because you're in the system. You're not. I've always seen stakeholders as people who are outside.
Ah,
If that makes any sense.
okay. Okay. Well, I do get that you got that. You were close. Believe it or not, yes, there are people that are outside, but they're also inside. It's the whole picture. So a stakeholder is anybody that has a stake on the organization. So you would be a stakeholder because you're a student. I will be a stakeholder because I'm a professor there. And the people that pay the taxes to the county for Lone Star College are also stakeholder because they pay, and that happens to be me too. But you see, it's all whoever has some kind of stake on the organization. So how do you communicate your decisions significantly affects others is what the book is saying. Look, you're just going to make a decision, but that may affect the entire picture, the people inside, the outside, the customers, the suppliers, everything. So keep your eye out on it. So topics to discuss with stakeholders: what the decision is, how the solution will be put into place, how it will be monitored, how changes will come about. Okay. Anticipate opposition. So whenever you make a plan and you have a decision to make, you made it. But you also have to anticipate, well, what will people say in your opposition? Well, they don't like your idea that you're making for the church. And maybe you have a committee that's like, hey, I wish you would have told us this, something. You would just have to anticipate opposition. Have you ever made a decision where you feel like someone's going to come at you very quickly, Serena?
Yes.
Yes. So then you anticipate it. You're like, oh, I'm going to have to do this, and this person's going to come, and they're going to be complaining. But I'm going to be ahead of them, and I'm just going to have to tell them this, this, and that, right? So it's saying anticipate it, right? And then take action. Until the solution takes effect, the decision is little more than just a good intention. That's very, very good, guys. Decisions need action. If you make a decision with no action, it's just a good intention or a bad intention, depending on how it is. The point is, make sure you put the effort behind the decision, right? And certain times planning is good, and sticking to a plan works great. But in other situations, you basically have to improvise. I do agree, Alma. There is time to improvise. And the only thing they're going to tell you is maybe make sure when you improvise, you have a plan right after. If you're saying, well, if you continue to improvise upon improvise, especially in bigger decisions, you may be caught up in what is just gut intuition. And remember, gut intuition is not scientific. Scientific means that you have some kind of measurable way to continue. When looking for a job, I like to plan for things. I like how many hours I'm willing to work, what location, physical requirements, and how much it will pay. Thank you, Karen. I also need to decide if this would affect my back problems. So there's different factors you're automatically weighing. Thank you, Karen. That was very good. I like that you brought in your own idea. In fact, on the Bloom's taxonomy, I believe you would be into apply in the middle of the pyramid. Okay. When looking, Andrea says, whenever I make a decision at work, I have to make sure to communicate with my regional manager and operational manager to get their approval before implementing. That is true, Andrea. And you probably have to do the same too, right, Serena? Whenever you make a decision at work, you probably have to get approval.
Yes.
Okay. And let me explain to you what that means. That actually means that they don't trust your decision. And there's a reason for that, right, Serena? It's probably because you're just going to school to learn how to make decisions. Okay? You need to try to impress them so they can see your decision-making ability. If you guys want to move up the ladder, guys, let me tell you this. Try to impress them. So what I would do is come in with solutions. Hey, I know I have to get approval, but I want to show you why my solution will work. And if it's systematic, they may think, wow, that was very good. They let go. Whenever they're on top of you about your decisions, like, tell me every move, every situation, that means they're not necessarily trusting. And it's okay. You need a little more experience to make a decision. Did you know that really decision makers make the most profit because it's the most different? Even above labor. Making a decision is not easy. People that make decisions get paid the most. So this class could get you to make the most out of it. And it's surprising because people think, well, you work with your hands, and here you're working with your mind, and to make the right decisions. Imagine if you could make the right decisions in the stock market. Where would you be at, Serena?
I'm sorry, the volume kind of went down. Can you repeat the question?
If you could make the right decisions in the stock market, and every decision you made in the stock market will be right, where would you be at? You'd be a millionaire, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. You could do the same thing with bets. You could do it with anything. You make good decisions and you're right, you're going to be fine in life. So this is why you want to take this course outside of the textbook and use it, okay? And that's it, guys. Oh, one last one. Decisions were just implemented and announced at work today. Not everyone was happy, but I'm sure that they expected that. That's right, Dina. It'd be great to find out why that happened. And that's it, guys. That's it for the class. You have any questions, let me know. We won't have any quiz. I'm sorry. Yes, we won't have any quiz this week. We're not going to do a quiz this week. But I will take your quiz for the next one. Okay. We won't have it because we only really have 10 quizzes and we have so many weeks. So, but if you're part of this, you get credit for that, for the discussion as long as you type it. And next week, I will definitely take care of you, Serena. All right. You have any questions? Oh, one more thing. Someone was supposed to remind me about the bonus. I'm going to have a box on the bonus part, a box. And that's when you type in what I gave you, the bonus. What I would like for you to do is also put a print screen where I said, yes, you can have the bonus. So you have to use that print screen. It's usually in WhatsApp. You know, I rarely talk to you guys on the phone. So it's usually written. It could be an email. It could be, just put it in there, evidence. And then at the end of the semester, we'll add up the extra points, okay? Any last questions for the class, guys? All right. It doesn't seem like it. All right. And that's all. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Thank you, Serena.